Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Dina Beth. I'm so happy you've joined us here today. We have this amazing opportunity to share an incredible story with you that is going to truly transform your life. And I'm so happy to have Kala Stuckless with us today. She is so talented in her sharing. She has blogs. She has amazing books she's got coming out here soon. And we're going to be talking about all these details. In the meantime, we just want to invite those of you that are joining us to remember to type in that you're coming in on the replay. If you're coming in, after the fact. If you're coming in live, we would love to know where you're coming in from. So feel free to type it in the chat here. Let us know you're here. Give us a wave. So happy to have us all gathered here in this group and coming together to support each other in the journey. We're all about what we can do to support each other and wives, relationships, couples. What I know is that we all deserve to hear the overcomer stories, the stories where when it feels like there's just really no hope, and then the light, something comes about to really change everything and help us come to the other side of that and actually experience the joy of what's possible in a relationship. What learn about ourselves, learn about our partner, learn about what works, and really celebrate that. So that's what we're here to do today. For those of you that don't know, my name is Dina Beth, and I'm with the Queen Within Consulting. And we are so delighted to be able to share this amazing topic of when work life is interfering with our love life and how we can really mend and bring a broken relationship back to something that is working and that we can really move forward with. So delighted to have Kala. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about her before we actually introduce her, like actually be able to say hello more deeply here. But we're going to start with just sharing a little bit about how she has really brought her relationship back from where it was. She's been able to keep it alive. And she did that, in the midst of all the work, the kids, activities, all of us know how that can be, and really inspiring him to support her in finding her purpose, which I think is one of the things we all would love to have more of. So I'm sure she'll be able to give us a few morsels about that point as well. She has been with her husband nearly 23 years. And of course, they've been married for 13. They have three boys, the 27-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 9-year-old. She's been working full time for most of that until just recently, but about a year or so. But she's been spending last year working on herself, learning new things, creating a life of helping others. She's an inspiration for many women. So I'm hoping that they'll be able to join us, some of them today. She posts inspirational things daily. And of course, she has a lot of followers. She has a resourceful parent page, and she's always supporting parents with children who may have some different struggles, which we all have as parents. It's just part of the game, part of the journey. So delighted that she's been able to give so much and serve so well, because there's so many people really looking forward to hearing from her today. And I'm so happy to have her here. She will be publishing her book here coming up this next year, and we'll be hearing about her blog as well. So we have an amazing story. I call it the Love Languages Weekend story that we're going to be going into. But before we start, let's just take a moment here. Kayla, tell us a little bit about what inspired you to be part of this show today, and what is you were hoping that you could accomplish here.
I think what inspired me the most is, I've been following you, Dina, for probably at least a good 6 to 8 months now. We made some contact earlier in the year, and you inspired me with your thoughts on marriage and your page. And I thought when this opportunity came up to have you, to be interviewed by you and to talk about my story, that it was fitting. And I just hope that, I think the thing that I want to get, or hopefully that people will get from this today, is that no matter what, your marriage is very important, and that, just even those little things can, just little tiny changes can make a big difference.
So true.
So.
Well said. I love that. It's kind of like that, the Grand Canyon. I live just north of the Grand Canyon, and there's pieces of the Grand Canyon that are very small, but it isn't time, where things just get like more and more separate.
Mm-hmm.
And those little changes can either like head us off in different directions or can bring us together. And I think it's so profound that you were able to find a way and make a way where all those things can kind of start to converge and bring something even better out of the relationship. And I believe that's really what it's all about, is being willing to go the distance and really finding, what is it, like the commitment, being willing to say there is a way, and I'm going to find it, and I'm going to just do whatever it takes to create this moment where we can bring those pieces back together and make something here that is, like I said, it's important.
Yes.
It's meaningful and valuable when we really lean in. So we want to talk about what it was that kind of got the love languages weekend, kind of what led you to that. What was happening in your relationship before that really caused a lot of angst, a lot of tension, maybe a lot of disconnect? Tell us a little bit about your journey, because I think for so many of our listeners, there is this part in our journey where we just feel quite desperate, like there just really isn't anywhere to turn. Who do I go to? What do I say? I know my husband doesn't want to go to therapy, and yet our marriage is broken. It just feels like nothing is working. I'm not getting my needs met. There's so many miscommunications, and you just get to this place where it's just like, is there any way that this can keep going, because I have to have some change, or else something seriously is going to kind of burst here. And I would love to hear you tell a little bit about your story with that, because I really think that it will engage our lady listeners here, and even possibly some men that are wanting to know, where do I turn? What do I do when I'm that desperate? And what really get to the feel of what that was like for you.
So it was back in 2013. The younger kids were just turned 3 and 6, and
so much work.
So much work.
The laundry, the dishes, the nappy, the things. So this doesn't stop.
Yeah. And then our older son was, I think he was starting college then. And so, it was pretty busy at that time. And then at the same time, we were both working full-time jobs. My husband has certain times of the year where he's way more busier than other times of the year. And those hours could be, anywhere from a 60 to 80-hour work week, depending on what he's doing. And that could mean calls in the middle of the night and things like that. So at that stage in the fall of 2013, that's where we were at. And it was a lot of, him doing his work. I'm doing my work, but then I'm coming home and I'm dealing with the kids and the meals, activities, etc. And, he's trying to help out, but I know how stressed he is and everything too. And I just felt like we just had enough to give to our jobs, to the kids. And then at the end of the night, it was like, like two ships passing in the night, and and it wasn't getting better, right? It was just getting worse and worse as the days were going by, and a little more cranky at each other, and little arguments,
another wound, another ouch. I can't believe you aren't listening to me.
Yes. So then at that time, I believe I was watching Oprah, and then Dr. Gary Chapman was on, and he was talking about his love languages book, and it was one of my aha moments, I guess you could say, for our relationship, because I was like, I need to get that book, and I started reading it. And then as it happened, our families don't live near us, so they're like a 3-hour plane ride away, and we had my in-laws visiting, and I just thought, you know what, I'm taking this as an opportunity for us to get away for the weekend and get away from work and the kids and our house, and just be us, be Daryl, be Kayla, be together. And then I actually read the book and do the quiz in the back for each other. Like, he did his husband quiz, I did the wife quiz, and then we just discovered our love languages and how to treat each other, a better, or do different things that the other person would like. And that weekend was very instrumental in turning things around for us.
Beautiful, well said. I think one of the most profound things that we often don't hear in the message that we just heard is that the power that we have within to make the change. Like,
yes.
You knew there was a change that needed to happen. You knew that there was some brokenness going on and some dysfunction going on, and you were like, I'm doing something about this, you know, and you like set up the weekend.
Yes.
Set up, you like knew there's a resource out there. There's got to be something. And you were
Yes.
willing to go get the book,
Yeah.
bring it into the conversation, and then engage your partner in that dialogue of, hey, let's learn, let's understand, help me understand you. You can now understand me. And in
Yes.
this process, we're going to come up with something that we didn't have before.
Yes.
And we're going to be able to go forward from this time forward with a deeper understanding, with more awareness, with a conscious, you know, like set of like, oh, I know what that means now. I know what's needed. I know how to move forward here because I have like some tools, right? I have some mindsets, I have some skill sets that I can pull from that just simply were not there.
Yes.
And what I just really wanted to like really hit on here is how powerful you are as a wife and friend to your partner to show up on that level. Because we often kind of are waiting for something outside of ourselves to fix it. Like if he would only, if he would just listen, if he would change, then
he's playing games.
Somebody's playing games.
Yes, somebody's playing.
We're family people here.
We'll talk about it later.
No worries.
Sorry.
I know it. Everyone's coming in next, so I totally understand. We're family people here. There's always room for one more. So no
I'm like,
just 1 minute, just one, and they keep getting louder, a little bit more. I know how it goes.
Sorry.
Louder. There we go. I know the story well. So I love that we're family people though, and there's room for laughter and it's all, and it's just fun. So what I love about this journey is not only have we really touched on, like, you found a solution, but that you were very committed to that process. And I just went through a session with a good friend of mine that was really about that very topic, is just being committed to finding a solution is really the first step in any journey and anything that we really care about and that really matters to us. And that is the biggest piece, is being clear about what gets to change and then going about creating those pieces and those steps to develop that. So I think that's what I wanted to bring out in that, and just acknowledge you, Kayla, for your dedication to your family, to your husband, to your partnership, to yourself, of having what you need. And what that looks like is being willing. And I just want to admire that and acknowledge that, because it's such a beautiful story to illustrate how that looks in the real game, in the real world, just showing up on that level. And I would totally encourage anyone to hear what Kayla just talked about with setting up a weekend, you know, creating a space where it's just like, there's nothing, you know, that's outside of us that's going to interrupt here entirely. And not to say there isn't like phone calls and checking on the kids, but we're going to have some time just for us to really focus in on just us and learn about ourselves, learn about each other, and then come together with this kind of like, now we know how to go forward. So fun, so beautiful. Well done, well said. So tell us where things went from there, Kayla, as far as how you were able to transition from that time to where you are today. And if you need to take a minute with the kids, that's totally fine. Are they okay? Is everything good?
I think they're okay.
They're playing a game.
We can hear stuff, guys. It's live.
They're playing a game. Oh my God.
I know how it is.
Sorry. I'm so sorry about this. I tried to get them to go out, and now
family here. It's all family. We're just hanging out. No worries at all. No stress. So if we could just kind of like transition from where you were, and then kind of now, you know, when you were able to set up the love languages weekend, and then now what has really like come out of all of that you feel like that's really something you'd love to share, that it's just made such a big difference? What's the result of all of that?
Playing a game.
well, the result of that was, like I said, we were able to look at each other's love languages, and they, you know, go with the top 2 to 3 that
It's not even supposed to be
the top 2 or 3 that we really
No.
sorry, I'm so sorry.
If you need to take a moment with the kids, we totally understand. We can give you a minute.
Yeah, I'm just gonna need a minute right now. I'm very sorry about this, but
Go ahead.
it's
Go ahead. Take
life.
a minute. Take a minute. We'll wait.
Thank you.
So while Kayla has stepped away, I would just encourage each one of us to take a moment and really reflect on our own situation and look in, like, is there something going on in my life that if I was to step away and just take a weekend or take some time to get clear about what it is that I need to change, what it is. I mean, really solidly get clarity on the inside of what it is that you're needing, what it is that you're needing that you're not getting, what it is in your relationship that maybe you've given up on getting, what it is that, maybe your partner has been needing and they've given up on getting, or that they've, kind of been wondering if they were ever going to be able to get this need met. Because in every relationship, there are needs that get to be met. And when we're not paying attention to those and we're kind of like, oh, that would be nice. Oh, I'll just get to that later. Or, oh, maybe someday we'll have the relationship that we really want. Well, that is fine for a bit. It just it's not sustainable. And what we find with all relationships is there's this like breaking point where it's just, I will not be able to do this anymore. I've done this umpteen years. I'm done. I'm over it. I'm not playing this anymore. If things don't change, I'm going to lose it. And what we all know about that process, and I think that the biggest piece to remember is that there's this point where we're just like, the switch goes off. And as women, we need to really acknowledge that when we turn that switch off and we're done, there's no putting it back up. I mean, it's really hard at that point to change it up. So to recognize that we're headed toward that cliff, or we're headed toward that eject button, and do something before it's too late is so vital. And just remember that 80% of the women, or 80% or 89 even percent of the marriages that are saved by us, by the women in the situation, because we're willing to not only get clear and get that clarity, but we're willing to go the distance to make the change happen, like inspire ourselves, inspire our partner, get engaged on a, in a deep way of how we're going to be able to get this to like be what we need it to be. We're willing to go the distance there. And it really is a commitment. And what you're seeing play out here with Kayla's story is exactly that. It's a level of commitment, showing up and making those steps happen, not just talking about it, hoping it, wishing it, actually doing it, and then getting the outcome that she knows is best for her and her family. So that's what we're going to hear about now, is what came out of that experience. I think it's so important to be able to articulate that and recognize that you are the change agent. You're going to be able to make that change more than you ever imagined. Not only when you get clarity, but when you know how to communicate it in such a way that isn't necessarily complaining, whining, and criticizing, and oh my gosh, if you would just only, getting out of that kind of mode and moving into more of a proactive, like, what can I do to inspire and create what I want and bring this about, like what we're describing here with this, hey, let's learn, let's move forward. It's a beautiful description of what it really looks like to be effective, because you're bringing out the best in yourself. You're bringing out the best in your partner. That is the point of this story that's so, so precious, because it's not necessarily our go-to. You know what I'm saying? It's not default. Default is complain, whine, criticize, and give him a bad time and basically throw him under the bus and say, you're done. I can't do it. If that's the general, like if we were just to like let loose, we would go there. This other requires something more. It's like it's really a cut above. And I just really love it. I love the story of it. And I love how it's an overcomer story. It's like the superhero type, stuff. It just, I don't know, lights me up. So tell us where we're at now at this point, Kayla, and how that's really transitioned your journey, and how you feel like things that came out of that were so worth it. Tell us a little bit about where things are at.
Yeah. So after that weekend, first it was just going to be one night, and then I came across a deal at this little little village, with an inn, and it was in the fall, and I was like, oh, this will be really nice. So we stayed there for the whole weekend, and so it was really, really good to get some of that couple time, and as well as, just to sit down and read and go through, each love language. And so after that weekend, when we figured out, which love language kind of resonated with us the most, then we just put it into play. So, just based on our different love languages, just even a little thing for him, like ironing his shirts for work or something, that those things for him is something that he really appreciates when I do that. Right. So then that, and even knowing like when he was busy that, if I could at least get the recycling out to the garage or something like that, or if he was away to get it, make sure I got it out and not miss recycling day. Just those little things that, sometimes people don't think are very much, but they do end up being like, if somebody like the act of service is one of his, so anything like just doing any of those little things like that, it was something that he really appreciated and that really resonated with him, and he was very grateful for me to do, making his favorite meal and things like that. So just those little things, and then just even sitting on the couch and holding hands, like it didn't have to be anything big, but it was just all these little things that we weren't taking time to do before. And now we were taking the time to do it.
Beautiful. That's how it's done right there. Simple, little, easy. It seems